What is up, you guys? It is me, SEC. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this video. I am super excited while we kind of start a new series here, hopefully. So today we are going to be doing Crochet with Christ. And basically that is just more of a laid back version of some of my videos where we are going to be working on a crochet project. So currently I am working on one of my mats for mat makers, which is where we take plastic bags and crochet them into sleeping mats for the homeless. And I'm almost done with this one, so we're going to be working on that today. And I just want to kind of talk to y'all a little bit about what the Lord is teaching me. Sometimes there are periods in my life where there's just a lot of the Lord teaching me, and I don't feel yet prepared to necessarily like put it into a devotion type of video, but I do think that the Lord is teaching me, and I would love to be able to share it with y'all as well, that it might encourage your faith, and just to kind of show that I don't have it all together by any means, and I'm still continually learning and continually growing. And there's times where like I said, I'm still really trying to dig deeper into my relationship, and there's quiet seasons, and there's, you know, really loud seasons and busy seasons and slow seasons and all the different things, just like y'all are going through in your lives, I'm going through in mine. And so this is just a different way of kind of sharing what the Lord has been doing in my life, and hopefully it'll be an encouragement to you. So if you have a craft project you would like to do while you listen, then go ahead and grab that and let's just dig in. So something the Lord has really been teaching me, I'm starting over with the new year. I'm starting over the Bible and doing like a read through the year in a Bible plan. And with that, I start off right off in Genesis and work my way through. And I love the chronological Bible plans just because I feel like it helps me, you know, learn kind of when things actually happen versus how they're ordered in our Bibles today. And one of the big things as I was reading through Genesis this year was just the Lord's provision from the very, very beginning. First of all, He created everything. So right off the bat, we wouldn't exist if He hadn't provided a way for us to exist, or to have food, or to have shelter. He's provided it all. So that's like automatically, you know, the first thing. But then even when Adam and Eve sin, the Lord provides clothing for them. He provides protection for them. He like literally kills an animal just to clothe them and sacrifices one of His creations. So right off the bat we see His provision like in the very first few chapters. Then we see with Cain and Abel, He protects Cain even after he has gone and killed his brother. He says, you know, if something bad happens to you, like if someone does something to you, then like automatically worse is going to happen to them. So He's providing continually. We see in Noah's time, this flood waters are coming, and He's preparing Noah, saying, hey, get your family together, get 2 of every animal together, and I'm going to provide a way out for you, but you have to be obedient in like building the ark. And so Noah builds this ark, and the Lord provides, but it's in His timing. We see that Noah tries to send out a raven, and the raven doesn't find a place to land, and then he's like, okay, wait a little bit longer, let me send out a dove. And the dove comes out, and they get a little twig. And it's like, okay, it's almost time, but he still waits on the Lord's timing. And in God's timing, He provides a way out of the waters. He provides the opportunity to get back on dry land. But the big one that has just been with me throughout basically all of my life, and for different reasons, is the story of Abraham and Isaac. And the story of Abraham and Isaac, if you've never read it, please do. But to give you a kind of synopsis of that, we see Abraham, and he originally is called Abram. His wife, Sarah, was originally called Sarai, and they love each other deeply, and Sarah is just not able to have a child. she ends up giving her servant to Abraham to hopefully carry on the line, and God has come to him already and promised him a child and said, like, no, Sarah's going to birth you a child at this time next year. Like, just wait, just be patient. Like, I will provide in my timing. And Abraham and Sarah, like, they laugh and they're like, oh, in our old age, like, how is this possible? But the Lord, like, in my timing, you will become a father of great nations. You will have a son by Sarah. Well, in the Lord's timing, that does happen, and Isaac comes around, and Abraham loves him. He loves him so dearly. But then God says, you know, I gave you this child, and now I'm asking you, will you sacrifice him? Will you give him back to me? And Abraham says, yes, Lord. He goes and tries and takes Isaac up to the top of the mountain, and Isaac starts looking around and realizing, hey, Dad, we don't have anything to give the Lord. Like, there's nothing to sacrifice up here. And instead of saying to Isaac, hey, you're going to be the sacrifice, he says, the Lord will provide. Even when Abraham and Isaac separate from their servants at the bottom of the mountain, Abraham trusts that the Lord's going to provide, so much so that he says, we will come back down. Not just me, but me and my son. And so it's so impactful to see that his trust and his faith in the Lord, even in the uncertainty. They get up on the mountain, and Abraham's preparing to sacrifice Isaac. He's ready to go. He's got him laid out. And then all of a sudden the Lord calls out to Abraham and says, stop. And I rewarded your faithfulness. Out in the bush is a ram stuck in the bushes. And the Lord has provided. It was in his timing. It wasn't at the base of the mountain. It wasn't in the middle of the mountain when Isaac is questioning his dad. No, it's at the very moment that Abraham is fully prepared to give up everything, that God is like, okay, here's your provision. Here is exactly what you needed when you needed it. You didn't need it at the base of the mountain. You didn't need it in the middle of the mountain. You needed it right in that moment at the top of the mountain. And when I was a child, I was diagnosed with a rare form of childhood cancer and was given a 2% chance of living. It's a testimony in and of itself, and if you want the deep details, if you've not already seen, I will put a little card up in the video. But while I was in the hospital, my mom had gotten a call from one of her friends about just like the Lord had spoken to her and said, Sarah Elizabeth is your Isaac. You have to be willing to let her go. And my mom was like, okay, and she was willing to, let me go if that's what the Lord wanted, if that's how he wanted my life to go and how the story to be used, and she was willing to let me go. And obviously the Lord had other plans, and he provided healing and provided in his perfect timing a way out. And recently when I read this through again, I was reminded that it's so easy for our hopes and our dreams for the future to become our Isaacs. We feel these promises from the Lord, and we have these hopes and we have these dreams that we feel that the Lord has given us, and it becomes our obsession. It becomes the thing that we wanted so much, and as we begin to seek these things, as we begin to obtain these things, it can be easy to wonder, like, okay, are you putting this before God? Are you putting this, like, it may be a good thing, like Isaac was a good thing, but are you willing to lay your Isaac down? Are you willing to lay the good thing down the Lord has given you for the better thing that he has, for just him, if nothing else? If he has nothing for you, if he does nothing else from this moment forward, are you still willing to lay everything down and follow him? Because we see later on when Jesus comes that he tells his followers, like, if anyone desires to follow after me, let him lay down his life and pick up his cross daily. And that's what we're called to do as believers. And so as I am seeking the Lord's will in the next steps of my life and trying to pursue what he's called me to do, I have been reminded that, like, it's not up to me in my timing. It's not up to me in my power or my strength, but it's in him, and it's in his strength, and it's in his power, and it's in his provision. He is the ultimate provider. in the New Testament, we see that Jesus comes to be the fulfillment of God's promises, the fulfillment of the entire Bible. The beginning to the end, the Bible is a love story of God to us, to his creation, and Jesus is the ultimate fulfillment of every single one of the promises in the Old Testament. He is the reality of the New Testament, and he is the future hope of the today. So when we read our Bibles, it's not just a thing of saying like, oh, that happened to them, but it's not happening to me. Like, yeah, God was a provider then, but he's not a provider now. He's a provider of yesterday and today and forever. We see that in Hebrews 13:8. It says Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So the same God that we read about in the Bible is the same God we serve today. So I don't know if this is just meant for me to see later on in life when times are hard and to remember that God is a provider, or if there's somebody here watching today that needs to be reminded that God provides in his timing, and it may not look like what we want it to look like. When Jesus came, he is the ultimate fulfillment of those Old Testament prophecies, but still the people of his time was expecting this great ruler to overthrow the Roman Empire, and he was a humble servant to all. He was born in a manger, born to a carpenter, and like these things are not what they expected. He was willing to lay down his life to save all of ours. It was exactly what we needed, and he came in exactly the right time, but it wasn't always what they expected, but it's what they needed. And so I want to remind myself, and as maybe you too, that God will provide when and how exactly what you need. He is an on-time God. He is perfect in all of his ways, and all we are called to do is to trust him, to walk faithfully up that mountain and trust that when we get to the top and we lay down all our hopes, all our dreams, all our fears and doubts, and lay them at the foot of the cross, that he will provide in his perfect timing, in his perfect way, because he is provider. He is a loving father who desires good things for his children, and he will use the good and the bad and the ugly and work it all for our good in his timing, not in our own. So I hope that this has been an encouragement to y'all, and that maybe y'all have gotten a little bit farther along on any projects you may be working on. If you like this style of video where we're just kind of talking and hanging out and crocheting or painting or just doing the dishes, whatever we may be doing together, I pray that it be an encouragement to you. If you enjoyed this video, then YouTube thinks you'll like this one, and maybe check out this playlist as well. So thank you guys so much again for joining me, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.